Not a sales pitch. Justin, CEO, co-founder of Shiloh. This is, excuse the little Zillow unlock thing down there. This is this same thing that I shared about. So sorry if you were in the room for that. Anyways, so over the past calendar year at Shiloh, we have analyzed, like Chase was saying, exactly 14.7 years of continuous talk time. That's an immense amount of data. And it's not even skewed towards, low performing teams that are skewing this data that I'm going to show with you guys. It's many of the top performing teams that you guys love and admire and respect. And you're going to see some shocking stuff that comes from this. The value of this data, if you were to hire somebody to analyze all of these calls, it would cost you about $10 million to pay for people to do this manually, right? We spend millions of dollars on leads and systems and training, and on a daily basis, agents, are fumbling the most important thing that we do on a daily basis, which is conversations. The problem with it is that conversations is an invisible thing in most organizations. And it's a problem that gets exponentially worse as you scale. When you're smaller, yeah, maybe you can listen to a ton of call recordings, sit next to all of your agents as they're making phone calls. But as you continue to scale, that becomes more and more impossible and becomes more and more invisible for you as an organization. So over all of those calls, 87% of those calls ended without any kind of clear next step. Not even like a, hey, let's follow up next week. No next step at all given to the end consumer. That's 2.6 million missed opportunities. If you start breaking that stuff down into like GCI, it gets real silly. It's like 600 and something $million in missed GCI. We're used to hearing 600 million in like volume numbers. No, that's a GCI number. So that's I've heard people say it, like, you don't need more leads, you have a conversion problem, right? In my opinion, the conversion problem isn't a conversation problem. 63% of those calls ended without the agent giving any clear value to the end consumer. So, order taker, answering no objections, scared of objections, asking no discovery questions, which is the next thing. 44% of those calls had 0 discovery questions on them. You can't get objections to show up if you don't have discovery questions, and I'll explain why that's important here in just a second. The reality, though, is that this isn't like a leak in a bucket. This isn't a leaky bucket. This is like an existential flood happening in organizations of subpar communication that's happening. And in a service-based industry, by the way, I was a real estate agent and scaled a team to 3 states and sold a lot of houses. I sold 400 some odd homes before I got out of production, right? I know what it's like to train and coach and try to equip agents for the real world, myself included. And this thing just continues to get worse and worse and worse. I remember wishing that there was a better way to do this, right? There's 3 things that we have seen through all of this data that sets everybody apart, right? And it's 3 simple things. And before you glaze over on this stuff, my grandpa used to tell me that like wisdom comes in simple form. The problem is that we usually think we're too smart for the wisdom. We think we're past that, right? If you're a football fan, the old Green Bay Packers ran the same 5 plays. People knew it was coming. They still couldn't beat them, right? So simple things matter. So there are 3 things that you guys can do about this, with or without Shiloh. This is not a Shiloh pitch. Obviously, we have a tool that can make all of this visible for you, gamified, all of that stuff. But the first one is set a freaking next step, please. Like, for the love of God. And you will get objections from agents on your team, even maybe inside of yourself, where you go, well, I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to. Okay, give me any excuse. Like, okay, I was just connecting them to the lender. Okay, great. This is what you do. I'm going to connect you to my lender friend, Jeff. Jeff did my mom's loan. He's freaking awesome at what he does. He'll be able to answer all of your questions, kind of get through pre-qual in the next 48 hours. So why don't we set a time, I don't know, just like Saturday afternoon at 4 o'clock works, so we can sync back up and create a good game plan after that. Firm next step, right? If you don't do that, what ends up happening is either you just stop following up, or you waste a ton of time trying to track the person down again, right? So you can be more efficient if you do something like that. Also, by the way, increases conversion rates. I'll get to that in a second. The next thing that we have seen is stay on the phone for at least 3 minutes. At least 3 minutes. People are like, oh, what do I do if I'm getting a Zillow connection call or something? You're like, cool, you set the appointment and then you probe for more things, right? But if you stay on the phone for at least 3 minutes, it greatly increases your chances. And there's some data down there that shows, okay, top performers inside of Shiloh are staying on for an average of 7 minutes and 19 seconds. So top performers are staying on the call 5.2 times longer, and they don't accept like no, they keep digging into why, which is the next final three, like of the three things that you can do. Find an objection every freaking time. The problem with this is that when you think objection, I don't know, what emotion comes to mind when you think of an objection? Emotion? Sad. Sad, scary. What was that? Annoying. Anybody over here? Negativity. Okay, so absolute negative connotation to the word objection, right? Because you're scared of it. Because you think in your mind, you go, objection is a pissed off person yelling at me, telling I'm a terrible person or whatever. That is not the majority of the phone calls that you have. Let's be honest. That's not the majority of the phone calls that you have. An objection is not a negative thing. An objection is this. Hey, were you looking to make a move in the next 3 to 6 months? I want to, but interest rates are super high and I don't know if I have the down payment for it. But, like I was, on the website searching, which is, why that was an objection right there. That was a financing objection. What is your job as a subject matter expert in that situation? Anybody? What is your job? Ask them why, discover, maybe educate because you're the doctor in the room and you're the one that has done this and gone to school for it and understands exactly how this should go down. So maybe a good solution to that objection would be, oh, you know what? I actually just closed somebody in a new build community and they got like a 4.5% interest rate because the builder helped participate in that, right? Or did you even know that there's an FHA loan with 3.5% down? Because you'd be surprised how many people got told by their grandma that you need freaking 25% down and they've just been sitting on the sideline because of that. We answer the objection and we automatically build trust and rapport because we are the subject domain expert and we are the ones that know how to guide them through the journey, right? So if you don't ask discovery questions, you do not get objections. And by the way, top performers are seeing objections 57% of the time. And they see 3 times more objections because they're not scared of it, right? You should not be scared of objections. You get those to surface by asking at least 2 discovery questions on each call, right? Combined rate of getting those 3 things to happen on a call, combined conversion rate is 6x at that point. So imagine what would happen in your real estate organization if you could get to a place where your average, maybe them 23%, that's like tippy top from all conversations had to appointment set. I get that that is like the top of this range, right? But in a more realistic world, maybe 15 to 20%. What would happen to your business? What would happen to your financial goals? What would happen to your life if that was the case? And it's literally as simple as, and I get it, you cannot get those 3 things to happen on every single call. I know, that's an over-idealized idea of operating in the real world. But your goal should be every single time you get on the phone, we are trying to stay on the phone for 3 minutes, ask discovery questions to get objections to show up, and set a clear next step every single time that keeps sales momentum moving forward, right? Yeah, you have to get past that like emotional blocker that you have, like that limiting belief that a objection is a bad thing. Objections come in all forms. Like back when I was selling real estate, I would show somebody a house or whatever, and they go, and I say, all right, cool. Let's go ahead and sit down for 15 minutes and really dive into a formal buyer presentation, right? I go, well, can't you just like set up a search for me? Whatever. There's an objection. Oh, okay. How do I handle that? Well, you don't need me to set up a search. You got Zillow on your phone. You got Redfin. Like my value to you is not bedrooms and bathrooms and creating a search for you. You can do that on anybody's website, right? You are buying a home for an intangible reason that is not in that because you wanted a certain lifestyle for your family. You have certain financial goals, or you have, you're a single mom rebuilding your life for you and your daughter, whatever that looks like. There is a deeper reason why you are trying to buy a home. And if you can't sit down with me for 15 minutes so I can understand what that is, it's really hard for me to do my job. And then what does somebody do after that? They go, okay, sounds great. Yeah, 15 minutes. Let's cool, just sitting. Yeah, it's fun, So yeah, that reframing of objections definitely important. Not to like toot our own horn, but the role play engine that sits inside of Shiloh really is actually best in class, and I can say that with all honesty. There's not another one that really rivals it. And if you've used role play systems in the past, I've greatly disagreed with persona-based role plays where you role play with a bot that's simulating a sign call, right? Especially for a new agent like he's talking about, they feel like they passed the test, but then they get on with a completely different personality type. I don't know, some high D personality type that's only responding in 3 words and sounds kind of pissed off that you're even talking to them, and they're like vomit on themselves because they don't know what to do with that anymore, right? Like, so the way that it works inside of Shiloh is Shiloh takes real calls that your organization has had, ingests them, the tonality, the objections, everything that happened, and allows you to try that call again. But the beauty of that is that you can create a role play training library, what Jeff is talking about. You could take, I don't know, keep using sign calls, for example. Take 12 sign calls and put them all in one role play library together and ask the new agents to role play through all of those 12 sign calls. It's the still same lead source type of call, but now it's simulating real life, different people, different objections, different personalities, different frustration levels, whatever that looks like, to equip them more holistically to be ready for real life. There's not really a minimum agent count. It's yeah, one one agent. Uh, if you're like probing for like pricing stuff, it's usage based. It's based on the amount of hours of phone calls that your organization places. So it's done that way on purpose because we at Shiloh have a vested interest in inspiring people to make more phone calls. Why? Because you'll have to pay us more money one day. But if agents are making more phone calls, you will also make exponentially more money. So we'll all win when we all win,